The lease was finalized. The miller was handed over to Rai. The factory, as we speak today, for the next 30 years, it belongs to Rai.
Let's start with an issue that has been quite in the forefront this week, the issue of Nzoia sugar and the lease on Nzoia sugar. I have followed some of your activities, and I saw you went into an engagement with members of the public to try enlighten them. Sijui mambo haya yamefika vipi? Kuna wabunge pia wamejitokeza wengi kutoka region ya Western Kenya, Bungoma County. Wamejitokeza kusema the lease is the government is hiding something behind the lease. It is not a lease to help the sugarcane farmer, to help the farmer around Nzoia and the entire Bungoma County to sell their produce, but actually it is an aspect either to take the land that belongs to Nzoia sugar or just to take the assets that belong to Nzoia sugar. I don't know what you...
You know, a decision must come from an objective. And an objective must be designed to solve a particular public problem. So ask yourself, the objective to revive Nzoia, the objective and the decision to lease Nzoia was to solve which public problem? What was it to benefit? Let me paraphrase my statement. For me to comment about whether I support leasing or not must be determined by the very objective that made the government took that direction. And the objective was only one, or rather two. Number one, to ensure that cane farmers around Nzoia who take their cane to Nzoia sugar, they are paid within this reasonable time, even 7 days. Number two was that the factory must be able to pay the workers that they have contracted, both contracted workers and the casual workers and suppliers. Only two objectives. The objective of raising money for the government was never there. There are only two problems that existed with the status quo. Number one, failure to pay farmers on time. Number two, failure to pay workers and the suppliers. There was no problem that the exchequer was struggling, that our economy was struggling, and we have to sell Nzoia to pump money into our economy. So those being the way they are, it only leaves you with the very one simple question to ask yourself. If the main objective was to build the capacity of Nzoia sugar to pay farmers on time, pay workers and their suppliers, then the discussion about the cost of leasing land doesn't exist. Nzoia was not to solve or was not to get money for the government of Kenya in any way. It was never part of the objectives of all our engagement. So when you now ask me, I can even ask a very stupid question. Those who are opposing the lease from Nzoia, they are saying that the nuclears had been leased to this investor cheaply. Suppose 1 acre piece of land has been leased at 10 billion, and you raise 25 billion. Where will this 25 billion go? They will go to exchequer. They will go to be embattled somewhere in Nairobi. They will go to run other government programs elsewhere. So as a leader from Bungoma, I don't care how much money the investor paid the government to get land, the nuclears. All I care is the efforts by the investor to resurrect the factory, to buy new machines for the factory, begin to crush cane, pay farmers on time, and pay employees and suppliers for the services rendered to the factory. The other things about the cost of land is neither here nor there. Those who mislead the public to say that that land belongs to the people of Bungoma are all wrong. That is government land. The people of Bungoma who are living there were willfully resettled elsewhere. They were compensated. You know, they were compensated. And that factory is not going to move anywhere. So me, I support the leasing to that investor, because there is a thin line between a private investor and government when you look at it from a farmer point of view. Yeah? That all the farmers will care is to sell their cane and be paid on time. It doesn't matter whether the person buying their cane is a Kalasinga or is a Mzungu, whether he is short or tall. What matters is that once you supply your cane, you should be paid within a reasonable time, 7 days or 14 days. We have farmers who supplied their cane to Nzoia Sugar 5 years ago, and they have never been paid. I supply cane farmers. I supplied cane to Nzoia Sugar Factory in the year 2014. Up to today, they have never paid me their money. But I've since moved to take my cane to Naitiri Sugar, which is owned by Rai. Today, if they harvest my cane, they pay me within 7 days. Yeah? And even those leaders who are opposing the lease of Nzoia Sugar, those who are engaging in cane farming, actually they are taking their cane to either to Busia Sugar, which is a private, West Kenya Sugar, which is owned by Rai, Kabras, which is also not owned by government, or Naitiri Sugar that is owned and run by Rai himself. You know?
People have been asking the question, why, there was a question about the process, the leasing process, and also, as you have mentioned, why Rai? That is the question they're asking.
You know, we moved, it has been a long process that began in 2017 when I was first elected in the National Assembly. The late Honorable Bocha was the chairman of a privatization commission at that time, was driving the whole process. He left, it came Paulo Tuoma. He drove the same process. There were meetings that were held in Bungoma and in Nairobi. The infamous one is the one that was co-chaired by Wycliffe Oparanya and Eugene Wamalwa and Mwangi Kiunjuri as Minister for Agriculture by then. And the resolutions were out. They recommended privatization of Nzoia Sugar. We just refined that privatization and say we lease it for 30 years. 30 years is not a very long time. If I will not be there, other Kenyans will be there. This country will exist for the next very many years. We will pass, other generation will come. Today, I have made the decision to support the lease of Nzoia Sugar for 30 years. When 30 years lapses, I think I will be around 72 years. If I will be there or not there, I have children. I have about 3 children. They will be old enough. They will take over that discussion to their liking and drive it forward. So we cannot live in denial that 30 years are too long. I don't know whether I'll be there or not. This country must continue whether you are there or not. There are generations. Every day children are being born. Others are being looked for. And if you will not be there, they will be there. And they will chart their own path at that time. And they will move forward. You know, I was not part of the process that evaluated bidders. But I know for a fact that we have created systems that guides government on evaluating and selecting bidders, successful bidders. You know, especially when it comes to public entities. And that question should be asked to PPRA, Public Procurement Oversight something, regulatory authority or something. But insofar as I'm concerned, I know that the whole process was driven by sober Kenyans who are not being driven by any other interest apart from farmers being paid on time, and workers and suppliers as well. And of course, the fact that Nzoia factory being in an area that has quite very many farmers, the issue of having a miller with a capacity and a proven record, I think that may have favored Rai, because he has got 2 factories in the region. He has West Kenya and he has Naitiri Sugar. And to make the matter worse, there are only leaders from Nzoia who are making noise, and a few from Bungoma, as if Nzoia Sugar is the only factory in the country that has been listed. We have all government-owned millers in Kenya has been leased out to private individuals, private investors, private firms. Have you heard any noise in Kisumu? Have you heard any noise in Homa Bay, South Nyanza? You haven't heard any noise, you know. Only Anyang' Nyong'o said something and it was misquoted by the media houses, which Anyang' Nyong'o, being a professor, he retracted and he issued a proper communication. So they are all aligned, they are all in support of those millers. There is nobody who knows how to do demonstrations and throw stones better than people from Nyanza. But they haven't, because they are alive to the fact that the people from Nyanza who grow cane as a cash crop have a right to be paid their money for cane supply to those factories within a reasonable time of not more than 7 days. Yes.
Okay, Mheshimiwa, as a very senior leader in the Bungoma County, and you're, God willing, maybe you could be the next governor of Bungoma, what is your final advice to the people of Bungoma to trust this process, or to answer the questions they've been asking themselves? Should the lease go ahead? Wale wanasiasa wanaendelea kuongea, what should happen?
The lease was finalized. The miller was handed over to Rai. The factory, as we speak today, for the next 30 years, it belongs to Rai. I have been told that they have already disbursed 150 million to pay the arrears of the workers, including the pension that was deducted by the factory, but was never remitted to the pension schemes. I am aware that Rai is doing an assessment with the factory to identify obsolete parts that will be replaced, and then to identify the processes that will have a brand new machine, so that the efficiency of the factory can return back to at least 85%, 85–90%. I am also aware that all the employees of Nzoia Sugar will be given 12 months to work without being disturbed. Then after 12 months, those who are willing for early retirement, they will be granted that opportunity in accordance with the laws of our country. Those that Rai would feel he doesn't require them, he doesn't require their skills, because he wants to automate the most parts of the factory by employing computer-aided technologies, programmable logic controllers. You don't have physical human beings testing the quality of sugar by putting it on their tank or using their eyes to look at the color of their sugar. That will be, the computers can be able to give you that. So if you will require that at that time, it doesn't require some specific employees, the those employees would be required to leave the factory in accordance with the laws of our country. 12 months. Those who feel that they don't want to work for I, and once you are on a salary and you can also apply for another job and move to another employer, they will be free to do so. So, in a nutshell, the decision by government to lease out Nzoia Sugar Factory has benefited the farmer, the workers, and the suppliers.